Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're continuing to read from Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th Canto, Chapter 17, The Descent of the River Ganges, text number 3. And once again, it is Sanskrit prose. Tata saptarisiyat tat prabhava vigya yamnanu tapasa achintiki siddhiritevati bhagavati sarvatmani vasudeva anuparata bhakti yoga labhenaivopeksitanayartatma gatayo muktim iva gatam mumuksaviva sabahumanam ajapijata juter udva hanti tata. Thereafter, Saptarisheya, the 7 great sages, beginning with Marichi, Tat Prabhava Vigya, who knew very well the influence of the Ganges River. Yam, this Ganges water, Nanu, indeed, Tapasa, of our austerities, Ajantiki, the ultimate, Siddhi, perfection, Itavati, this much, Bhagavati, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sarvatmani, in the all-pervading, Vasudeva, Krishna, Anuparata, continuous, Bhakti Yoga, of the mystic process of devotional service. Labhena, simply by achieving this platform. Eva, certainly. Upekshita, neglected. Anya, other. Artha atmagataya, all other means of perfection, namely religion, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. Muktim, liberation from material bondage. Eva, like. Agatam, obtained. Mumuksavaha, persons desiring liberation. Eva, like. Sabahu manam, with great honor. Adya api, even now. Jata jute, with matted locks of hair. Udvahanti, they carry. The 7 great sages, Marichi, Vasishtha, Atri, and so on, reside on planets beneath Dhruvaloka, well aware of the influence of the water of the Ganges. To this day, they keep Ganges water on the tufts of hair on their head. They have concluded that this is the ultimate wealth, the perfection of all austerities, and the best means of prosecuting transcendental life. Having obtained uninterrupted devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they neglect all other beneficial processes like religion, economic development, sense gratification, even merging into the Supreme. Just as jnanis think that merging into the existence of the Lord is the highest truth, these seven exalted personalities accept devotional service as the perfection of life. Purport. Transcendentalists are divided into two primary groups, the Nirviseshavadis, or impersonalists, and the Bhaktas, or devotees. The impersonalists do not accept spiritual varieties of life. They want to merge into the existence of the Supreme Lord and his Brahman feature, the Brahmajyoti. The devotees, however, desire to take part in the transcendental activities of the Supreme Lord. In the upper planetary system, the topmost planet is Dhruvaloka, and beneath Dhruvaloka are the seven planets occupied by the great sages, beginning with Marichi, Vasistha, and Atri. All these sages regard devotional service as the highest perfection of life. Therefore, they all carry the holy water of the Ganga on their heads. This verse proves that for one who has achieved the platform of pure devotional service, nothing else is important, even so-called liberation, kaivalya. Sridhar Swami states that only by achieving pure devotional service of the Lord can one give up all other engagements as insignificant. Prabodhananda Saraswati confirms his statement as follows: Kaivalyam narakayate tridasa pur akasa puspayate dudantindriya kala sarpa patali Brotkata damstrayate, Vishwam purna sukayate vidi mahendra discha kitayate, Yat karunya kataksa vaibhava tam goram eva stumaha. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has perfectly enunciated and broadcast the process of Bhakti Yoga. Consequently, for one who has taken shelter at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the highest perfection of the Mayavadis, Kaivalya, or becoming one with the Supreme, is considered hellish, to say nothing of the Karmi's aspiration to be promoted to the heavenly planets. Devotees consider such goals to be worthless phantasmagoria. There are also yogis who try to control their senses, but they can never succeed without coming to the stage of devotional service. The senses are compared to poisonous snakes, but the senses of a bhakta engaged in the service of the Lord are like snakes with their poisonous fangs removed. The yogi tries to suppress his senses, but even great mystics like Vishwamrita fail in the attempt. Vishwamrita was conquered by his senses when he was captivated by Menaka during his meditation. She later gave birth to Sakuntala. The wisest persons in the world, therefore, are the bhakti yogis, as Lord Krishna confirms in Bhagavad Gita 6:47. Yoginam api sarve sammatkaten antaratmana shadavan bhajate yomam samayuktatamo mata. Of all yogis, he who always abides in me with great faith, worshipping me in transcendental loving service, is most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gyanandana Salakaya Shakshurinminitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Pure devotees of the Lord are experiencing the constant presence of the Supreme Lord. And in that constant presence of the Supreme Lord, there is a constant exchange. This exchange is predominated by rasa. And rasa means transcendental mellow, it means taste. So In this way, their life is full of a wealth of taste and an endless variety thereof, and therefore always fresh inspiration in the life of such pure devotees. In the life of the impersonalist, basically, Srila Prabhupada explains there are two types of impersonalist: the Mayavadi or the Sunyavadi, or those who are basically saying everything is one in Brahman, or those who are saying everything is zero. Or as Sankaracharya said, Brahma Satya, Jagat Mithya. The Brahman energy is real, but the universe is false. And the Buddhists say, no, Brahman is also false. That's it. So in this way, as they don't recognize the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they also don't recognize the loving exchange. They also don't recognize the varieties of tastes. And therefore, they declare all taste to be false. They basically say all this excitement, all these experiences, all the beauty in this world, it's Maya. Whereas the Vaishnavas, there's an interesting reference in the second canto, which I like very much, which mentions that the beauty in this material world is the smiling face of Krishna. Now, I think that's very significant because it means that when we see beauty in this world, we don't have to write it off. We don't have to say, this is Maya, only Krishna. Only Krishna's beauty is what we want and everything else is Maya. We used to maybe think like that in earlier days in Krishna consciousness. And but now we understand, like for example, a walk in the forest was considered Maya. Right? Now, that would be a complication in this place, right? Because you can't go very far or you're already in the forest. So what to do? But nowadays we understand yuktahara viharascha, that there is yuktahar and yuktavihar. And vihar means to relax, really. And that such relaxation or bihar also means enjoying. Kunja Bihari, the enjoyer of the groves in Vrindavan, Krishna. So bihar means also to enjoy. So we can actually enjoy the forest. So, oh, how nice. And we can enjoy it by seeing it as the smile of Krishna. And seeing, oh, a smile is a welcome, right? If someone doesn't smile, then, it doesn't look very good, right? You come somewhere, you go like, looks like they're not very happy to see me here. But if someone smiles, then, oh, welcome. So the beauty in this material world is the welcome of Krishna. He's welcoming us to greater beauty. So not that we are bewildered by the beauty. In the early days of ISKCON, Prabhupada had stayed at Dr. Mishra's country ashram. And when they had the Matchless Gift storefront, then one day in the summer, they went for an excursion to Dr. Mishra's ashram, just to be out of the city. And they were out of the city, and Hayagriva slept outside that night. And in the morning, he witnessed the sunrise. And Hayagriva was a professor in English literature. So he was into poetry. So he was going like a painter from his palette has made streaks of red in the sky, and so on. So he was appreciating the beauty of creation. And he told Prabhupada in the same poetic language. And Prabhupada said, yes, we are more interested in the painter than in the painting, right? We're more interested ultimately in the person who made it, because really the beauty is within him, right? So this creation and the beauty in the creation is telling us something about Krishna. Of course, the material world has not been created according to Krishna's desire. The material world has been created according to the desire of the living beings. And then Krishna went along with it. What to do? Because the living beings wanted to be in a place where Krishna was not present. So, how am I going to do that? I'm all pervading, right? I'm everywhere. So it's going to be difficult to find a place where I'm not present. In fact, there is no such place. So what to do now? But they want such a place. All right. Then what I'll do is I create a layer of illusory energy so that it looks like a place that is separated from me and that I'm not present. And so Srila Prabhupada writes in his first translation of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which was printed in India, there was a dust jacket around the book. They call that like a paper cover, right, of the actual book. And on there was a drawing of the spiritual world and material world based on a sketch that Prabhupada had made. Right? And then on the inside of the covers, on the flaps on the flaps, there was an explanation given. And there Srila Prabhupada explained. He explained that the material world is just a corner of the spiritual world which is covered by the illusory energy. So in other words, we are in the spiritual world, but just due to the illusory energy, we see it a little different. At least I do. I don't know about you. But I don't see it. I mean, but Prajandanandan might see it because he talked about it the other day, that here it is Vrindavan. So maybe he is seeing. I'm just seeing Abenteuer, Germany. Anyhow, what to do? But we remember, and not seeing with the eyes at this in the conditioned stage, but seeing through the mind, and seeing through the purified mind. A devotee can see beyond the eyes. So through the purified mind, one can see this place in a spiritual perspective and appreciate that that Vrindavan is also present here because of Madan Mohan, and that little stream of water must be the Yamuna then, right? What else could it be? That hill, well, what could it be? I guess one of them is Govardhan, and then we have a few other ones, maybe Varsana. Maybe you already gave them names. Who knows? Yes. And then, yes, just as Krishna agrees to be worshipped in a form of clay, we discussed yesterday how Dhruva Maharaj was just making a form just from some clay and was worshipping the Lord like that. In the same way, Govardhan can also manifest through some ordinary hill, right? When Madan Mohan is personally present, it is all possible. So, we have to, in spiritual life, develop an internal life. It is not only about external, it is not only about what we do. The first initiation is very much about what we do and what we are not do. Pravichimta nivichimta. It is about following four regulative principles, and it is about chanting 16 rounds. So, what not to do, what to do, and to engage in devotional service. The second initiation is different, because at the second initiation we are getting the Gayatri mantras. And in these Gayatri mantras, we are chanting them within our mind. So there it begins, the meditation, really. While we're chanting these Gayatri mantras, we're meditating. These mantras, I'm not supposed to disclose them in detail, but some things I can say. They are, first of all, pointing towards the transcendental nature, and they are also pointing towards Krishna. And not only towards Krishna, but also Krishna in his eternal abode, engaged in his eternal activities. So in this way, we begin a meditation on Krishna and on Krishna in his world. When Arjuna is on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, yes, Krishna is the chariot driver. Senayor Ubayor Madhye, they stand between the two armies, and Arjuna sees how in the other army than his own, there is grandfather Bhishma and Dronacharya, and he's shocked. Just he knew that they would be there, but to see them there face by face, it brings up all kinds of emotions, just seeing them, and it just is too much. And he's saying, I'm not going to fight with my grandfather. I'm not going to do it. No way, no, I'm not going to fight with my teacher. I'm not going to do it, right? They're dear to me. No, I cannot do that, I can't go there to kill them. No way. So in this way, Arjuna felt overwhelmed by grief, and he couldn't fight, and so on. So the Bhagavad Gita is then spoken by Krishna, and Arjuna, it is said, Sarva upadisadu gavo dukta gopalanandana partavatsa duktam ritam mayat. It is said that the Gita Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita is sometimes called an Upanishad because it's written in the same format as an Upanishad, although it's not an Upanishad. Said, but of all the Upanishads, which is just like a herd of cows, the Gita Upanishad is the best. And Partha is Vatsa, he is the calf. Or Partha, Arjuna, he is the calf. There has to be a calf. And then Sudhir Bhokta, the wise man, is the enjoyer. And in this way, that Gita can be milked. So we're having this milk of the Gita, or this transcendental knowledge, which by the mercy of Krishna and Arjuna is manifest in the material world. And suddenly we know how to see the material world through our mind's eye, through a purified eye. Right? Suddenly we don't see all these bodies, Usually you look at the body and think, okay, look at that one, look at this one, and position ourselves. But now, Vichavinaya Sampane Brahmani Gavi Hastini Sunichaiva Swapakachavat Pandita Samadarshinaha. Now we see with equal vision. With equal vision, we see the soul within all living beings, whether a brahmana, a cow, an elephant, or a dog eater. all the same spirit soul within. Pandita Samadarshinaha, seeing with equal vision. Yes, so the spiritual vision is given to us by hearing, and then we gradually realize it. First intellectually, first philosophically. And we're just walking around reminding ourselves, no. There is a spirit soul in this dog. Yes. And we're treating all living beings like that. In this flower, there is a spirit soul. In this animal, in these ants, there is a spirit soul. Let me not step on them. Like that, we are careful in dealing with all living beings due to this spiritual vision. But that's philosophical. To really see it, to actually see the soul, that's another thing. The soul is kesagra, it is 1/10,000th the tip of a hair. That's very small and has not yet been seen by any microscope or anything like that. So the vision, that spiritual vision, is gradually developing within us. Now with the Bhagavad Gita, we are beginning in the material world. Arjuna is in the material world and he's under the influence of the material energy. And we are also under the influence of the material energy and also identifying with the material world. So in this way, the Bhagavad Gita relates to people who are in the material world, right? And Krishna is acting in the material world. But there's also something else, and that is Krishna acting in the spiritual world, in his own world. And like I said at the beginning of the lecture, that Krishna didn't design this world according to his desire. He did it to facilitate our desires. Because Krishna doesn't want this. He doesn't want this material energy. He can't enjoy the material energy. He wants only the internal energy, the pleasure potency. That is what he wants. Krishna doesn't want the material world, but living beings, they want. So, all right, then let it be. Even the suffering in this material world, right? We're looking at this material world and say like, Krishna is not responsible. He didn't design it according to his desire. He designed it according to our desire. But we didn't desire suffering, did we? Did anyone desire suffering here? Is there a masochist amongst us? All right? But that's a sort of a diseased state of consciousness. Sometimes the tension. One time I slept in a room with a kleptomaniac, and it was very interesting, because he had to steal. He couldn't help it, right? He had to do it. So he stole my shoes. And then the thing is, whatever he stole, he would put it in the toilet. So my shoes were in the toilet. Like, okay. It was an experience. A kleptomaniac. Yeah, so prior to that, I never got so much into the psychology of a kleptomaniac, but it sort of really made me think about the kleptomaniac and sort of check on what's going on with the kleptomaniac. And what it is, it's forbidden to steal. And the stress of that, of living with this, that it's forbidden, is just too much. Can't live with that, it's forbidden. And then they just have to do it to relieve that stress. Yeah? That's it. So just had to steal something. Stole my shoes and put in the toilet. Oh well. Yes. So, due to the material energy, we are compelled to act in so many ways, and it takes time to purify that. So, Krishna, Krishna is watching all this and saying, your desires to enjoy this material energy just go on and on and on. It never ends. Then let me put a little sand in the sweet rice. Because if there is sand in the sweet rice, then you will not go, oh, this material world is so sweet. Oh, it's so wonderful. Oh, how I love this world. How I love my life. And my wife and my everything else, or husband doesn't rhyme, so sorry. Whatever. Yeah, so in other words, enjoying the material energy, we would still be enjoying the material energy if there was no suffering. So why is there some suffering in the mix? That was Krishna who put it in. He did. Did he? I mean, did Krishna put the suffering? Well. Yes, he did. It's a sign of his love. His love? What kind of love is that? It is the love that he can't wait any longer. I mean, what would you do? Now, look at it from a parental point of view. Here is your darling. Baby, growing like cabbage, and sure enough, turning into a youth, right? There he is, now a youth. Oh my God, puberty has arrived. Oh no, look at this. Oh gosh, do you really have to have a spike in your cheek, right? Can't you just have one in your ear, I mean, does it have to be in your tongue, right? Isn't that a little bit too much? Anyway, oh God, what you have to tolerate. So at that age, they sometimes they go a little off, or sometimes completely off. And if they do, then, yeah, then what you're gonna do, right? What you're gonna do. So, now let's say a parent has a child, and the child has become a heavy drug addict, and the child is, the son is regularly stealing everywhere and anywhere, and the parents know that the son is going to break into a pharmacy, and they tip off the police. Not because they are good citizens, but, it's like, he's unstoppable, right? It's just too much. He's just like, he's destroying himself, and, maybe it's better if he gets caught, and, if they lock him up for some time, at least, I mean, it's very painful for that parent to do that thing, to tip off their own son to the police, but they do it because they see it as the only way to save them. So, okay, this story sort of shows how Krishna is just sitting there, but it's like they just go on and on and on, getting themselves more and more entangled in the web of the material energy. Like a fly, they are just trying to get out, and they get themselves more and more entangled. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? I have to give them an incentive. And the car rolled 7 times, and you stepped out, and I'm still alive. Maybe I should go to the temple today. Haven't been there for a long time. Suddenly, a little reminder, and we are again getting more serious about spiritual life. When we look death straight into the face, then it could improve the quality of our japa. Right? It might work better than a japa retreat, I tell you. Yes. So in this way, we can see how it's a bitter pill. Oh, this pill is too bitter. Why did he make such a bitter pill? He made a bitter pill because we are really thoroughly, stubbornly attached to the material energy. And that's why they're said in the sweet rice, it's not fair. He doesn't give us the freedom of choice. No, he doesn't. He gives us independence, minute independence, but in the end, he just can't wait any longer. Okay, throw a dose of suffering into the mix. And that will make them come back to me sooner. One has to understand like this. So it's not only that suffering is due to our own karma. No, because if you think about it on a deeper level, yes, but where does this law of karma come from? Right? Okay, the suffering is due to my karma, the law of karma, every action, reaction, sinful action, heavy reaction, fine. But where does that law come from? It's the sand in the sweet rice. Anyway, like this, we are looking at it. So that is the love of the Lord and the mercy of the Lord, who is somehow or other showing his eagerness to bring us back to the spiritual world. It takes a lot of maturity to thoroughly embrace this, to thoroughly accept this. This is not just so easily embraced, you know what I mean? People, when heavy things happen, sometimes someone comes and says, are you not angry? Are you not angry with Krishna? Now this heavy thing happened to you. And wasn't it heavy? Yes, it was really heavy. So, you're not angry with Krishna? No, I'm not angry with Krishna. I'm grateful. Grateful? Yes, because he gave me special attention. Yes. He didn't leave me alone in my cloud of ignorance, right? He didn't leave me alone in my buffalo state of mind, just walking around in the material world and just enjoying my senses because it's all I've ever known. What else is there? Nothing else. This is it, right? And everything else, yes. Like one devotee told me, yes, Krishna consciousness was a beautiful dream. That meant back to buffalo consciousness. No, my dear buffalo. No. It's real. It is real. It is very real. But then, yes, it's not superficial. It's not enough to just go to the Sunday feast. I never miss one Sunday. Oh, very good. You are getting, a big piece of cake for that. Yay! Every Sunday. Yes, that is good. But there is something more. There is something more. And that's called internal life. An internal change. We have to embrace Krishna. We have to embrace everything that Krishna sends us. And we have to see behind everything the loving Krishna. Right? We have to accept with love. Not just, all right, I'll tolerate this suffering. God, it's hell. oh, but I'll tolerate it so that I can go back to the spiritual world. All right, it may be like that. We may still go, even if we tolerate it in that mood. Because tatenu kampam susamiksamanamo even. So it is still there that if we tolerate, but the real thing is to embrace. To embrace. Yes, Krishna. Yes, whatever you sent to me. Yes, that is your grace. That is your kindness. Thank you for giving me attention. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Krishna. All the teeth are falling out. Thank you for your blessings. Yeah, it's it's very interesting. Okay, now to balance this statement, we are human, right? And I do remember Hridayananda Maharaj in a lecture speaking about a devotee who was a young devotee, went before the deity and said, my dear Lord, please purify me. And then 30 years later, that same devotee prayed again and prayed, my dear Lord, please purify me softly. So that's also there, right? So I admit I do pray, my dear Lord, if possible, softly, softly, please, if it can be. But yeah, whatever happens, we have to rise to the occasion and embrace it. Krishna's mercy. Okay, well, good luck with this lecture. I didn't pre-plan it, but it's sort of wound up here, and I know it's a bit much to digest, but let's hear what you have to say. Yes. Nein, aber dann der Internet. Internet kann es auch besser hören.
Okay, in the spiritual world is Ladini Shakti. It's what Krishna's pleasure potency energy. And the question is this Ladini Shakti could come also here to us and show us that we can
Ladini Shakti.
Experience, I think. We can experience also the same or maybe very
Yes. Ihayasya harirasya karmanamanasagire nikilaswapya vastasu jivan muktasa uchate. So by devotional service, we can become a jivan mukta, and then we can fully experience, the whole thing. The whole spiritual experience we can have, the Ladini Shakti experience. Devotional service is comprising of that Ladini Shakti. Devotional service, the deities are that Ladini Shakti. The kirtan, Ladini Shakti. Prasadam, Ladini Shakti. Yes, so Ladini Shakti is there in our life, and that Ladini Shakti is greatly valuable to us. Greatly valuable to us, because it acts like touchstone. Sparsamani, it acts like touchstone. And so whoever comes in contact with that becomes transformed by it. And it removes the material influence gradually. So we're very fortunate, and therefore, yes, we're always taking shelter. Sometimes you think that spiritual life is a big fight with our lower nature. Somehow or other, I have to conquer, I have to conquer this lower nature. It's impossible. But I have to do it. There's no other solution. It's the only way. No, 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 no. Simply take shelter. Take shelter of all the Ladini Shakti that is brought into this world by Krishna and the pure devotees. And if we just take shelter of that, then automatically, prakasante mahatmanaha, automatically the transcendental reality is revealed. So, and over time, we become more aware that it's less about a fight. Some element of fighting is there. It's less about a fight and more about just taking shelter. Take shelter. Shelter of the holy name, taking shelter. So, in the beginning, we say, yeah, but I am taking shelter of the holy name. I am taking shelter of devotees. I'm taking shelter of the temple, taking shelter of all these things. But it doesn't work. Relax. We want instant results, instant coffee, right? Too lazy, of course, but too lazy to make the real thing instant, just everything instant soup, just like some powder, boom, soup is there. Amazing. And not boil all the vegetables, so much work. We want everything instant prem. Yes, I want Krishna prem, but do I have to pay for it? Huh? Can't I get it for free? I don't really want to pay for it. That's the problem. So Lord Chaitanya is giving it almost for free, just wants some faith. Sraddha Bindu, in the Namahata, in that marketplace of the holy name, you have to pay the price of faith. That's all. Yodinam kinbebaya amasanga chalo mahajana kachajay. Yes, let's go to Lord Nityananda and purchase the holy name with some faith. If you don't pay with faith, you get counterfeit. Counterfeit means false. False money, falsches Geld.
It's okay, I have one more.
Maybe you can ask other might have also questions. Actually, I have also one.
Yes.
May I?
Well,
You were speaking about developing more this internal life
as
we grow on our spiritual journey, and I'm seeing myself, and though quite beginner, still very often caught into the external and do, and what will be your advice for a practitioner to go more into this internal spiritual life?
The internal spiritual life means that while we are engaging with the material energy for Krishna, we are seeing another dimension. So we see more, we're not just moving some things from here to there, but we're seeing everything, how it's connected with Krishna, how it's connected with Krishna's purpose, how it is connected with Krishna. In this way, we can work in the material world and have that greater vision of seeing Krishna behind everything, seeing Krishna's purpose, seeing Krishna's goal, and in this way living very closely in our internal relationship with Krishna. However, we also need to sometimes just withdraw from the material energy and just connect with Krishna. So when we're chanting japa, that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to just switch off everything else and just get absorbed in the chanting, or in a kirtan, just deeply get absorbed in the holy name, and which is very easy and very natural. So therefore, we have our spiritual practices, our sadhana of direct connection with Krishna in the form of his name, in the form of the deity, and so on. And we are surcharging with these direct activities, Srimad Bhagavatam. That's why we're going through this. And then later in the day, we deal with the material energy, but with that spiritual vision, right? And yeah, different birds fly on different levels in the sky of spiritual vision. Some very low, right, and some very high. And sometimes I say that that some birds don't fly at all in this world, we see. But by the mercy of the Lord, of Lord Chaitanya, even birds that normally don't fly are also flying, just like chickens. Like we become flying chickens. And so our internal vision will develop and will grow. Then we can borrow from the acharyas. This is called chayabhav, right? We can first borrow knowledge, but also borrow some of the ecstasy of the acharyas. You know, like when I read the Gopal Champu, right? And Jiva Goswami is describing the love of Vrindavan, right? How just Vrindavan is just full of ecstasy, right? And how it's full of love. Then I see it a little different. Right? I never saw it like that. You know, I saw Vrindavan is spiritual, it's full of spiritual power, right? Full of spiritual. I saw. Vrindavan is full of spiritual power. I saw it on the day I joined. I walked into Vrindavan, I saw this place is full of spiritual power. But I didn't realize that Vrindavan was full of love until Jiva Goswami started to explain it. Then, from that day on, he opened my eyes. Now I'm looking at Vrindavan differently. So we borrow from the acharyas, and then we get some shadow of their ecstasy. Right? I mean, Jiva Goswami isn't just writing this. Jiva Goswami is experiencing this. He's seeing this. He's just overflowing with love himself because of this amazing mercy of Krishna. But now I also get, because of Jiva Goswami's mercy, a little shadow reflection just by reading the Gopal Champu. So in this way, we are borrowing from the acharyas, we are borrowing from the Dham. It says Chayabhav, we can get from the Dham, we can get from the pure devotees. And by prolonged association, it can become our own. It's just when you borrow something, if you had it for a long time, you sometimes find a book in someone's bookshelf and you find a name in there, you know. Goloka Dham Library or something like that. Say, oh, yes. We have a few of those in Bangladesh. Yes.
Thank you so much. We are here in a Goloka Dham, ISKCON development society. We are as a so-called family trying our best to become a nice, really nice family. And it's since we are living here, it was always difficult to bring devotees to live here for longer. It's like a station, like a train station, coming, going, coming, going. And I want to ask you, maybe you can share little experiences you are seeing in the world, you are seeing other temples, you are experience, you hear from other devotees. Maybe you can share a little some help for us to how we can really make it, because we have so much plans here for the future and to build new houses, to
from here, and yeah, maybe some inspirations for us how to what we can do to really that we like to stay here, that everyone is somehow satisfied in all directions. You know, yeah, maybe I think you know what I mean. Yeah, it's not always easy.
No. I think this phenomena is not only happening here. There's even some people call ISKCON a revolving door, which is one of those spinning doors at the shopping center, right? So ISKCON has been called that. So the phenomena is worldwide. Few stay and many are moving on, and there's always change and so on. And in some way, that holds back the growth and the development, right? Because if people would really stay, they can build something up, etc. Yes, we can identify the problem, the cause of the problem, and we can also look at some things we can, some solutions we can offer. Well, I mean, I'm just sketching now because it's not a seminar, you know what I mean? So just sketching, you could say, we are coming from a life of in the material world. You come into an ISKCON community and it is nice spiritually, a lot of inspiration, but it's also limiting. It is also limiting because you have to sacrifice some of your individual freedom living in such a community. You're supposed to, the community is not only nice and loving, but it also adheres to strict spiritual standards. And, and sometimes you just feel, I want my freedom and I want to be on my own, just somewhere where I can do what I want. Yeah, so that's one reason why a lot of people move on into their own private space after some years, and then they start to fill in Krishna consciousness in their own way, and not exactly according to the book. Once I discussed this with Sachinandan Maharaj. He said, I give it an average of 5-6 years. Right? That's what he said. But he also knew the phenomena. What can we do? So that wasn't a full analysis of the problem. It was just one comment. What can we do to make it attractive to stay here? Well, okay, plans. Yes, this place, as long as it's from day one, it was conceived as a retreat center. Right? It was clear this is a retreat center. It's not a farm. It's a retreat center. It's a place where people can go for that purpose, and that's what when they came and they looked at the houses, that's what they thought it was going to be: a community and a retreat center. And over the years, it did function like that, and various leaders have used it as retreat center, and it's still basically being used to that. And right now, we are retreating from coronavirus. So it's a retreat center, I think, by its natural identity. From my point of view, when you look at a project and you want to make it into something, the first thing is you first look at what is it. Yeah? Don't just start dreaming, what shall we make of this place? But first you look very carefully, what is this place? Like I was working in Mayapur with professional architects on the master plan. What they did, they looked at how is it connected? How far is the place from all the train stations? How are the roads? How is this? How is that? How easy it is to get here? How close are the nearest cities? Which are the target areas? It really laid it out like that very nicely, and say, what is it, right? And they spent like a lot of time on what is the place? What is this place? And then accordingly we can make plans. And then you make a beautiful plan, and then the beautiful plan goes into the drawer. Oh, and why does it go into the drawer? Because you didn't do one of the things you have to do is that from the very beginning, you have to involve everyone, as many as possible. People have to feel they're part of it. Otherwise, if it's just a nice little management group and they come with a plan and other people are not part of it, and then they feel like, well, nice plan, but not my plan, I mean, I don't really feel like, participating. No, so people have to feel ownership of the plan. And sometimes, as the management, you have to even let people, you already know what you want, but you can't say what you want. You have to let them discover it on their own, so that it becomes their idea, not yours. Because if it's your idea, it's not going to go anywhere. No, you have to wait till they discover the idea you already had, and then you go, wow, that's an amazing idea. Anyway, these are all, but participation is the principle of and letting people do things, let them take initiatives, and adjust your ideas to some of theirs. Yeah, let people do their own individual thing. Years ago, we discussed build projects around people, right? Don't build projects, but just build projects to accommodate people and their desires and build it on the desires of people. Yeah, pure desires, of course, but let people fulfill their desires here. Then, because when you fulfill your desire, then you want to stay. Anyway, those are some ideas, but good luck. Yeah, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.